This is the last Sunday of our church year. We work on a different time frame than the secular year, which starts on January 1st. We start on Advent 1, the first Sunday of Advent, which is next week. And the last Sunday of the year is always celebrated as the Feast of Christ the King. And I always think that's really sort of a dangerous thing for us to celebrate in the church. And the reason I say that is because we tend to do exactly what Jesus in that story we heard tells us not to do. Because Pilate asked him about him being a king, and he said, "My kingship's not of this world." But we like to make Jesus a king of this world. And what do I mean by that? What do you think of when we say king? Do you guys, what do you think of when I say king? Somebody who rules a land, right? Somebody who, what kind of clothes does a king wear? Are they fancy? Because they're rich, aren't they? Usually rich. Was Jesus rich? No. What are you coloring? What's this thing right up here in the black and the white that you haven't started to color yet? They wear a crown. Did Jesus wear a crown? No. Only at the end of his life when it was a crown of thorns, which isn't something you really want to wear. So richness, ruling over others, which means he what? Has power, right? Right. And that's what I want to talk about, because that story we just heard is about power. And Jesus is in front of Pontius Pilate. Now we said, the king is the person who has all the power in the land, but where Jesus lived in Jerusalem was a little different situation. They had a king, but they had someone who was even over the king, and that was the Roman emperor. And Pontius Pilate was the governor of Judea, where Jesus lived. So he represented the emperor way away in Rome. There was no person more powerful in the whole civilized world than the Roman emperor. So Pontius Pilate was a very powerful person. And Jesus has been brought to him and accused of being a traitor, because Pilate heard that people were calling Jesus the King of the Jews, and there can only be one king and one emperor. And so he asked Jesus about that. And Jesus said that his kingdom was not of this world. But that's what I'm saying. We tend not to listen to that, because you will have a different bulletin cover than we had at 8. But you should have seen the one at 8. It's a picture of Jesus that has a triple crown on his head and royal robes and a scepter. The gospel just said that's not what he's about. And we love to sing hymns. We're going to sing one at the end of this service. I love to sing them. It says, hallelujah, sing to Jesus. His the scepter, his the throne. But Jesus said, my kingdom is not like that. And so we have an interesting thing. We have Jesus saying to Pilate, who represents all kind of power, he said, I came to bear witness to what? The truth. I came to bear witness to the truth. And power doesn't like to hear that, because worldly power is usually based on lies. Whether that's powers of governments or politics or workplaces or bullies on the playground. The lie that power usually uses, if I want to have power, I say, I am better than you are, and you have no value except in how you're useful to me. And that's what power wants us all to believe. And Jesus says, not so. Jesus says, I came to bear witness to the truth. And the truth that he bears witness to is that all of us, each one of us, is a beloved child of God. Equally loved, and that we are put on this earth not to rule over each other, but to serve one another, to be kind to one another. This is our year of focusing on how do I show kindness, not how do I show power. Jesus was about kindness, not about power. And so we have Jesus, who is truth, turning to Pilate, who's power. So truth is turning to power and pointing out the lie that power is built on. And you know, the interesting thing is that as truth turns toward power, truth also turns into power. Because Pilate did have power. And in another place in the gospel, he says, you know, Jesus, I have the power to free you or the power to put you to death, to crucify you. And he did. And he, in fact, did put Jesus to death. And we remember that. It was a terrible death on the cross. And the reason we remember it is because truth that Jesus was turned to power. Remember what happened on the third day? Jesus rose from death. And so even though Pilate had the power to shut him up, to kill him, he did not have the power to silence the truth of God's love. And so Jesus lives on. And the funny thing is, you may not know, but the Roman emperors all claimed to be divine. They wanted people to believe they were gods. And I said, you know, we remember some of them. Nero, he fiddled. Well, I know that part. Claudius, I watched that. Augustus. But most of the Roman emperors, we don't remember their names. We have to look it up. We'd have to Google it, look up a list, find their names. They all claim to be gods. And yet here was this poor carpenter, Jesus, from a little unknown place in Judea. And 2,000 years after Pilate used his earthly power to put this man to death, billions of people around the world worship Jesus. Nobody has to Google Jesus, say, who is Jesus? Everybody knows who Jesus was. So it's very important for us to remember when we celebrate Christ the King, it's great, color those crowns in. And you know, we're ones, the clergy are ones to talk about wearing royal robes and sing the hymns. But always remember that if we are subjects, loyal subjects of Christ the King, it means we give him our allegiance. The only way that we really have of showing that is by bearing witness to the truth of God's love for each and every person around us. The truth of that to politicians, the truth of God's love on the playground, the truth of God's love in the workplace. And when we witness to that truth, we will see that truth turn to power. Thank you all for listening.